Gentlemen, Thanksgiving is a very special time of togetherness and a time to express our gratitude. And it was interesting because I was just reading in my dear friend Benjamin Franklin's edition of Poor Richard's Almanac. He has a whole insight into the nature of gratitude and how it affects our life. And I would really love to read this before we serve our Thanksgiving dinner. Whatever you're waiting for, be it peace of mind, contentment, health, it will surely come, but only when you are ready to receive it with openness and gratitude. Of all the characteristics needed for both a happy and morally decent life, none surpasses gratitude. Happiness and health are the just rewards for living in gratitude. Wow, I remember the first time I read that. I doubted that gratitude could give me health and happiness, but now I know differently.
Hello again. This is Stephen Welsh, President of the International Chiropractors Association, with the ICA monthly update for the month of November, in a year that will never be forgotten. I hope you enjoyed Dr. Lipton's opening message. You see, November is indeed a time for Thanksgiving, a time for reflection, and a time for gratitude. Now, it's been 8 months since that very first effort to flatten the curve. Now, we've all survived that initial surge, and then we experienced a second wave as states, provinces, and countries began to open up. And now we're bracing for what comes next as winter and the next flu season approaches. Now, the bad news is that the number of COVID infections are skyrocketing. Now, the good news is that the mortality rates aren't. And it looks like we're beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But time will tell. Now, by now, I would expect that every one of you, your families, and your patients have been touched in some way by this seemingly never-ending crisis. At this time, I'd like to express my appreciation for all the doctors, chiropractors, and first responders around the world that continue to serve despite the mounting challenges. Now, this monthly COVID update will feature the work of 2 noted scientists, Dr. Bruce Lipton, the author of Biology of Belief, and Dr. Helene Langevin, the director at the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health at the NIH. Let's begin with Dr. Lipton, who offers some insight on the effect of stress on the immune system and gives us all some very wise advice.
We live in fear of the person who coughed right next to you, or the person down the street who doesn't look that well. Oh my God, I got to stay away from them. Every year, about 0.1% of the population will die from every flu that comes up every year. It's not different than flu, it's just a bad flu. Coronavirus is a flu virus. And they want to say, it's not the flu. And I go, look, a flu has a range of symptomology. You've experienced that range yourself. Some flus, you don't even know you had the flu. The immune system takes it and runs with it so fast that it eliminates the symptoms even before they manifest. So you may have had flus in the past, didn't even know you had it, because the active immune system would eliminate it. The bigger problem you have is the fear of the virus. In a fear response, the biology of the body changes to put energy into escaping the fear. That proverbial fear is the saber-toothed tiger that chases us. When the consciousness of protection is required, then the biology will adapt to a protection response. It shuts down the growth and maintenance of the body. It shuts down the immune system. Stress shuts down the immune system to conserve energy. And yet, when we start to hear the news and the fears and the threats that are keeping bombarding us from the media, we're naturally starting to release stress hormones. And as we release these stress hormones, we compromise our own health. So a very important insight into this thing is this. It is not lethal for almost the entire population, a small percent of the population. So my message is very clear and very simple. Most of us are going to get this virus, that's a fact. Do we have to have extreme problems with the virus? I say no. If we take care of ourselves, as I said, take care of your physiology and your consciousness. Be happy. Stop focusing on the fear, which is self-creating the stress hormones. And more importantly, recognize this. There are many alternative complementary health providers that can help us keep strong and keep our immune system operating. I would actually understand the best thing to do is to go see your chiropractor, your acupuncturist, your naturopath, your massage therapist. All of these modalities are really helping bring health and harmony to the body. And the more health and harmony we bring into the body, the less the symptoms will affect us. So, simple conclusion, if your health is compromised, then do everything possible to protect yourself from getting an infection. But if you're like the vast majority of the population, take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. And in fact, take care of the people in your community. Because what we're starting to recognize now is that health is not being supported by the government. Health will be supported by local community, which is part of our evolution. So if you're not working right now, good. Take care of yourself and see if you can help your neighbors. Because the more we help each other, the faster we will get through this. And the symptomology will be greatly reduced. For the average person, we will get a flu, no doubt about it. Will we die from that flu? Not if we take care of ourselves, no. So an important insight is this. While we all will be liable to getting the infection, the severity of that infection depends on the health of our immune system. So I said, well, what does that entail us to do? And I say, well, number one, take care of your health. Eat healthy, natural, organic foods to support your biology. Take vitamin supplements, and especially vitamin C, which is very effective in helping with infections. And more importantly is stop worrying, because worrying causes stress, and stress releases stress hormones into the body. And the simple fact is this: stress hormones shut down the immune system in an effort to really take the energy of the body and get it ready for fight or flight, running from that proverbial saber-toothed tiger. So basically it says this: stress hormones are released into the body, shut down all functions not necessary in running away from a threat. And I say, well, that includes the immune system. I go, absolutely. That this epidemic will come to an end very soon. So take care of yourself, take care of your health, see your complementary practitioner to ensure you're running really in best form of all. Take care of your loved ones, take care of your community, and in the end, we will all get through this, and we'll all make it, and we'll see each other in a much healthier light in the very near future.
Now, before moving on to Dr. Langevin, in the spirit of complete transparency, I need to let you know that in addition to my role at the ICA, I am also an officer of the IHPC, the Integrative Health Policy Consortium. Now, the IHPC recently sponsored a webinar with Dr. Helene Langevin on the subject of whole person health and the importance of changing the research model at the center. Now, Dr. Langevin also touches upon the importance of the relationship between the musculoskeletal system and the immune system. I think you'll find the following 5 minutes of excerpts from that presentation quite informative.
I wish to thank our IHPC sponsors, the Samueli Foundation and Cairo Secure. We are so deeply appreciative of their support for IHPC's work.
So my talk today is about integrative and whole person health and why this is not only important, but also actually urgent now. So if you would consider these two plants, the one on the left looks healthy enough. And the one on the right looks like it's sort of has some sort of disease, right? But what about the one in the middle? It doesn't look quite healthy. And so I've used the word unhealth to talk about this plant in the middle. And it describes, I think, a state in between health and disease. That transition between health and unhealth is more reversible, right? More bidirectional. Whereas once you've crossed over into disease, it may be harder to go back. Now, what about people? Now, of course, we're not plants, right? But there are some common themes here between people and the plant example that I showed you before. So if you look at this transition between health and disease, there is a state here, which we call pre-disease, which I think is very similar to that sort of transition between health and unhealth and disease that I illustrated with the plants. So one of the problems that we're having, I think, in research is that because we are using a model where instead, when we look at how a treatment effective is a treatment, we think about it as like a drug. We tend to ask the same question. We're saying, does acupuncture work or does yoga work? But it's not acupuncture or yoga that's working. It's the patient, right? Not the treatment that is doing the work of healing. The treatment is really facilitating the process. Medicine has been unintegrated from the beginning, and this has been reinforced by a century of reliance on drugs for everything. So what we need is whole person health, right? We need to integration in the biopsychosocial domains. We need across systems, and we need health restoration as well as disease prevention. Because when you think about fascia, it is part of the musculoskeletal system, right? It's what surrounds all our bones, our muscles. Every time you move, you're pulling your fascia, and the fascia supports everything. But it's also part of the immune system. We don't always think about that. When you say, what is the immune system, right? It's a bunch of cells that are going around, looking for trouble, right? What do they do when these cells leave the blood vessels? They go into what we call the extracellular space. Well, it's not really space. It's connective tissue. That's where they go. That's where a lot of immune responses take place. It's inside connective tissue. So in my own lab, that's what we study, is the interaction between the musculoskeletal system and the immune system via movement, and particularly stretching. We're really interested in the importance of stretching. If you actually put a mechanical force on the connective tissue, how does that influence the immune responses? So this is one of the things that we are looking at very carefully in our new strategic plan, is to how can we best support this kind of research that is going to address the whole patient in ways that are just as rigorous as if you were studying, a pill, for example.
Well, that concludes my update for this month. Meanwhile, please check out the ICA COVID resource page, where you can find a link to that entire 1-hour IHPC webinar. And doctors, please share these messages with friends and colleagues. Meanwhile, please reach out and connect with the ICA. If you're an ICA member, thank you for your support. And if not, now's the time to join us as we protect and promote vitalistic, subluxation-based chiropractic around the world. We are here for you, to help you help your patients, because they still need that reassurance that there is no need for mass panic. And don't forget, you are truly their beacon of hope. And we will get through these challenging times, and we will do it by working together. Thank you.